Welcome to Wickerson Studios. I'm just going to show why I've had an easier time going into programming in the GH node and the C# node than I did returning to learn Rhino. And it's because I got started in Grasshopper and I just fell in love with the canvas and what it was potentially doing. I'm going to wrap this into the series on the tutorials on Rhino Basic Training 1. And that's where I started. You can see this little revolving table here rendered pretty simply. All these samples you should go through and learn, because the more you understand about Rhino, the more you realize Grasshopper is pretty much a subset of what you can do in that, and that's why there's a need to learn how to develop and make your own GH nodes and C# nodes. And I'm not into making any fancy pants things. So what I'm going to show here with the little render that's going on in materials is this is a rendered out of a table, and it's pretty simple. It is a revolved, okay, so basically points come out of this node, which is a custom node created by Wickerson Studios. And it's subtle, but what I'm trying to do is get a certain level of elegance in these shapes and designs. And if you notice, the only thing in Rhino that's here is this point. And the whole thing's driven by that point. And that's the only thing you have to import. So for skill sets in Rhino, it's not very hard to go up and put a point on your page. So put another one on your page. You put it anywhere you want. I'm not sure where it's disappearing to when I do that. So let me just go here to all four windows, and we'll pop it up here, and we'll just bring it. Maybe we'll leave it there. I guess there's 3 points there now. But that's the one we're looking at, just that blue one. And it wouldn't hurt to import the other ones. Let's import that one as a set point. That's about all we have to do in Rhino. Let's take a third point and put it over here. And I'm not sure what to expect. We'll go here and we'll set 1 point to there. And there we go. We have 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. And I don't know if I need to see these ones. So I'll just take them to preview off. But I may want to move them around with the gumball, because this one, if I move it around, the whole surface changes. So what I have here is I have a bottom poly surface, I have a top, and I have a baked bottom. And that's all pretty simply the lines that are coming out. I can choose to take those lines, and I'll do-si-do over here a bit so you can see the script. I'm not going to open up the Wickerson Studio script. My Patreons have access to all my hundreds of scripts in C# and in Wickerson Studios. Maybe not hundreds, but there's quite a few. They just keep coming, and I keep generating. Very simple. But the Wickerson Studio ones were built with Python programming, so when you double-click on them, you can see the script that's in there. It's not too hard. Pretty simple. And it's got a little Boolean toggle that I can play with it and change it up. So if I was to look at this curve and then just do a little Boolean toggle on that, I could change it up. It would transform that. And that's just through an enumeration point. Pretty simple programming. So what do you do with it is you end up, I have a list item that I was taking the points out. I just wanted to orient the beginning point of that curve to that point, which is basically what I did. And I could orient it to that point. I could orient it to this point. I could orient it to this point, whatever I want to do. But I'm pretty happy with that one being oriented there. I'm then able to go through and build a NURBS curve, a polyline curve, or a interpolated curve. And I need a start line direction to start just for an axis rotation. And then I debrep, and I basically have tops and bottoms on here that I can extrude. So the top surface I can bring up to 10 diameters. And even though that's in a negative direction, that's not really what I want it to go. I want it to go up in the other direction. I'm not sure why I've swapped that. I guess I swapped this one for that one. Because that one shouldn't be going up. The other one should be going down. So I'm just going to take this one and say, no, your direction is supposed to go that way. Your direction is supposed to go this way. And there we go. And then you can see the tops as they're generated. And that's it. That's a single iteration. So we'll grab these three. We'll put it on visibility off. And we'll see what we generate in these three forms if we didn't want it so thick. I've got it snapped to 5. I actually like 5 thickness on the tops and bottoms. I think they're running well. Let me just see top, bottom, and that's fine. And then the surface capped because I wanted it capped in case I wanted to mill it. I do like that nice little line revolution. That's it. And if I swapped out my points and started from this point, targeted that point, I get a totally different piece of furniture. staying with the kind of fluid motion of what's being chosen in the trigonometry math script. It's not too difficult to play with these. But if we kept this one on, you can see that the data driving that is this point, and I can go in and have a little fun with that. And probably what I'll do is just tap my Alt to make a copy of it, move it over here, and then I'll bring that into, let's say, another point, because I don't want to lose that first point because I like that shape that I have there. So let's just do a little set one point, and I'll reference that one, and let's just pull that in and see what kind of shape we ended up with. And there it is. It's a different shape. It has not such a wider base. And you can go in and script whatever you want on the math nodes in Python. So I've just chosen one function to enumerate and switch out to the other one. And you start getting these pieces of furniture. Now, they're a bit ridiculous. This little stool that's kind of fat and short. You can put on amplifiers. You can custom change these nodes once you write a little bit in. You can see this is just a to-the-point math library enumeration node, which I put in as a GH user object. So if I like that little bench, and I was like, well, I want the bench to have a higher seat and higher base, and I want it to be even beyond that, I might leave this one in here and go up here and type in 12.00 and then bring that up to a 30 count or a 50 count, which is a bit ridiculous. And there you go. You get this kind of lumpy, bumpy top and this lumpy, bumpy bottom. I'm wondering why my extrusion at the top's working. My extrusion at the bottom is, yeah, it's there. It's under the render IC I haven't baked. You have to be careful with your render window. You probably want to look at it and shade it and see what you have. I have a little light up here cooking away. So those are my little benches that would go with my table. I'd probably take those and space them out and do a rotation around the table, like a polar array, and that might be interesting. But let's just go in here and bake this one. Bake. Yes, and this one we bake again because that's a different shape. Yes, there's no reason to group because they're single objects, and let's do a little bake here. Yes, and then let's have the same type of switch it up. Let's leave grasshopper, not even bother looking at it. Oops, not even bother looking at it. Let's take this object, and shift edit this object. Oops, hang on a second. Select that object and that object. Let's put those ones into the orange, assign the objects, and then let's grab the center one. Not sure. Oh, once again, I'm happy to look at it this way, but I want to be looking at my render. Let's just take a little time to think about it. Let's get a little math involved. I'm not sure what's going on there. Let me assign to objects, and why are you sticking with this? Let's go to render. Let's take that middle object and turn that one purple. And there we go. We've got the opposite chair driven by another point. So this piece of furniture, I might say expose the other one, move that out, which is a little too big. And so you might want to change your scale on that. It's a little too high. We could reference this after and play around with these as little stools. Oops. And let's just pull that one in here. And now I'm playing in Rhino a little bit. And we'll go to top view. And we'll just do a little polar array on that point, which shouldn't be too hard. Let's grab here and let's do, as long as I get snapped to that point, I think I'll be all right. Let's do our little Rhino stuff for presentation, which once again, this is pretty, it gets pretty easy. Polar array to there. We'll choose the center from the side here. And we'll do a number of items. Let's do a healthy, unlucky, lucky number 7. And we'll pull that out into a 360 degrees. And there we go. Should be good to go, I think. I haven't put the render on those other objects because the render doesn't extend to them. Well, maybe it does. Yes, it does. So there you go. Got a little table reversal. Wickerson Studios extraordinaire. Having fun. That's as simple as it gets. You've got a little bit of Rhino to play with to get used to. You have a little bit of rendering in the Rhino window. You've got a really nice little Grasshopper node system and a very simple script in your math library enumeration. The only thing I have to do now is just set this up. And there's Furniture Design 101 by Wickerson Studios. developing from points within the Rhino window. And what you might want to do here is just select your points, which there's many ways to do that, but I'm happy with this way, and I'll just throw those into a visibility off. And now I'm able to party and have a nice little thing. And of course, I do want to drop that down the shading, but I've got a nice little station that I'm ready to mass produce and pump out and find some way to fabricate. And it all extends into this one. Actually, I will show the script. It's pretty simple. It's just a creating a point list using the F range, F start to stop to F step, and I'm enumerating either using sine or log 1p. And quite honestly, I can't remember math what the hell that that logarithm referred to. The other one defaults to kind of a sine cosine helix form, so I know I'm always going back to that and getting something decent. But that's basically creating a curve with your custom Python math trig enumeration tool that you can always go in and add more to and more factors to it to accentuate it. But I hope by the end of a course with me that students are familiar enough with what's happening in the Rhino that it starts to logically translate into a Grasshopper node and script system, and then people actually can go farther into the Python scripts themselves to have a little bit of fun with those, because that's where you get into some amazing iterations. You start complicating things and building some really wonderful geometries. So I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll throw it on a little turntable and I'll sing to you for a little finale. 12 minutes of fun.